moment to stop. Time to go home. Don't want this night to end. Yeah, about time we stop pretending.
I asked Chris how much he would charge a customer for the job we were about to do, and he said $3,000. Now let me take you back to when it started.
I got some plants in the mail from fastgrowingtrees.com. Not plants, trees. I ordered a tree and I liked the way it came out, so I ordered 5 more. 3 of them just showed up. We're gonna start our project on this Saturday. So hopefully by the time I actually post this video that they'll be bigger and brighter. So I think it'll be like a month from the time we start the project to the time that it actually gets shown, so we can see the difference in the changes. But here we go. The trees are from fastgrowingtrees.com and they are the tricolor willow trees, and I'm gonna open them up and see what they look like.
So it's true, I ordered trees online. I had no idea that was even a thing. But let me take you back to the very beginning. Chris, my husband, you'll see him throughout the video, quit his corporate job last year to pursue his landscaping business and has since been so busy doing that. I asked him to redo our whole landscaping in our backyard, but because he is so busy doing other people's, you know how it turns out when you finally get to your own, it kind of takes a toll, you know, in the back end. So I took it upon myself to find and design our landscaping with different plants and trees and whatnot. And I found a picture on Instagram from a house called 100 Years in the Making, I believe it is, or an account called that, and they had these beautiful trees. When I looked up what kind of trees they were, that was where my inspiration came from. The trees are not in the right zone that we're in. So our zone is a zone 9, and I think at the time those trees were only good for zones 5 through 7. I can't remember, but not our zones. So ta-da, there they are. So we found these tricolor willow trees that look very similar. I think they were called the Salix flamingo trees in the picture. And my whole goal was to try and find a similar design that works in our humid environment. Who knew that you could order trees online? Chris told me to look at these. He found similar ones, and I ordered 1 tree to see, is this tree going to come out, you know, who knows what you buy online. Is this tree going to come out all dinky or whatever? And it came out, it looked great. So I ordered 5 more. So that's where we're at. The tricolor willow tree, good for zones 5 through 9. And this is going to be the back of the landscape design. They grow to be about 10 feet tall. So I wanted to put some trees in the back to give us some privacy along the back. We do back up to a road and then houses in the back, but you know, you always like some good privacy, especially when these houses tend to be really close together. Once we got the trees, I was able to map out the rest of the plants I wanted on a piece of paper. Our next step is to go to the nursery and pick up all the plants that we need.
All right, so today we got all of the plants. I have the trees. I showed you, where are they? I already showed you guys the trees, and then we are going to work on taking everything out of the flower beds and then planting the plants. So I'll show you which plants we ended up getting. These are the hydrangeas, and we ended up getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. And then these are the agapanthus. We ended up getting 5 white ones and then 4 of this pretty purple one. And then we got some ferns. We got 8 of these ferns, and then we have, I think we got 9 or 10 of these small baby gem boxwoods, and then some of the bigger baby gem boxwoods. So this is what we're working with here. I thought it wasn't going to take so long. Chris says it's like a massive project, so we'll see.
It definitely did take a lot longer than anticipated, hence why I'm not the professional landscaper. So we just got back from the nursery and picked out all of the plants that we are going to start working on this project with. But before we get started, we have to remove everything that's already in the flower bed And then till and mix up all of the soil, make sure it's all good, and then fertilize it. I'm thinking, okay, this is gonna be easy peasy, take, maybe an hour. Oh my goodness, that took all day long. But I'll ask Chris to give some tips along the way if you are doing your own landscape project. And let's get started on this big job. What I'm doing next is just cutting off any of the dead leaves that are there so that whenever we plant them, they look nice, fresh, and vibrant. If your plants are overwatered, then sometimes the tips of them will turn brown or limp. But if the tips of your plants are dry and crisp, then that could mean that they are underwatered. So I'm cutting them here to improve the appearance, but I also read that cutting away the dry or brown leaves also helps keep the pests away. So if any of you guys know if this is true, then leave me a comment down below with your testimonial. So I'm just reading here that it says that bugs can be attracted to decaying or dead leaves more than they are healthier leaves. So this is why cutting them can also help keep the bugs away. So earlier I mentioned about picking plants that are within your zone or your climate. If you're in the US, there's a website that you can go to, and I'll link it down below, and you can type in your zip code and it will tell you which zone that you live in. So basically you're going to want to find plants that will thrive within that zone.
Yeah, okay. So I need you to walk us through the steps that we are going to do because I don't know anything.
Well, first we need to completely clear out the flower beds, remove all the plants that are there, take them out, maybe transplant them, put them in a pot. We can use them somewhere else maybe, or move all these pots out, till all the soil, add some fertilizer, and then start laying out these plants. We'll put them in place. And also we're going to trim this crepe myrtle up and clean it up a little bit just to make it look good. Just do that before we plant the new plants so we don't trample the new plants when we're cutting branches.
Do we need to use any particular type of soil or?
I mean, it's better to use topsoil or some kind of organic soil, but this soil has been here for so many years and we've added it over the years. It's good enough, and add a little fertilizer.
So the reason why I asked about the type of soil is because I read that the tricolor willow trees do well in slightly acidic to alkaline soils, but they also tolerate other soil as well. So alkaline soil is soil that has higher pH levels, which are greater than 7.3. From my understanding, the higher the alkaline, it just means that it reduces some of the micronutrients, but some plants do thrive in that soil. And then if soil is below 7.3, it says that plants do become, or the soil becomes acidic, and there are some plants that thrive in acidic soil, such as magnolias and blueberries and some other plants that I can't pronounce, but most of the time it's just they grow well in neutral soils. But I'm also reading tomatoes do great in acidic soil, and also that if you sprinkle coffee grounds in your soil, it can help it become more acidic. So kind of interesting. I'm not an expert on this, so I would definitely do a little bit more research, but I definitely thought that was interesting. Now, I am talking about vegetables because we do plan on creating a vegetable garden on the right side of our yard. Like I said, when we get a chance, our home is always kind of put on the back burner opposed to customers, right? So whenever we get a little bit of extra free time, then we'll start that project. Now, I know a lot of you guys are experts in growing your own vegetables or growing vegetable gardens. So the number one tip that you've learned through that experience, leave in the comments down below. Once he's got the crepe myrtle tree trimmed up, then the next step is to move all of these, I can't think of the name, plumerias. All the plumerias out on the side of the house. We'll kind of use that. Maybe we can block the yard on that side a little bit. But with plumerias, if you know, like once you cut a branch off, you plant them in a new pot and then they continue to grow. Now, if you've been following me for a long time, then you'll know that instead of having this landscaped, Chris would like dump a bunch of compost, which is just old food, into the soil to help make the soil a lot more rich. But what happens is we end up growing random vegetables. Last year we had a huge tomato garden. We've had grapes grow, we've had pumpkins grow, and it's all just random and we don't know what's growing until it comes out. So we think that that plant was zucchini. I'm not sure if you know because you've grown them before. Then leave me a comment down below with what you think it is. Next, as we are pulling up all the plants, we just find that there are a ton of worms, which turn out to be a good thing.
So healthy dirt means
Good soil. Good for the plants. The plant live off of is the soil.
no. I mean, well, how do you know it's healthy?
Worms.
There's
that's a good
worms?
sign. Yeah, dark, black, and worms. It's full of worms.
What, Mama?
Look.
So after that, once the worms were discovered, the kids went nuts and started playing with the worms all day. But basically what Chris is saying is that the benefits of having lots of worms in your soil is that they help aerate the soil, allowing for better circulation. They also eat the organic material, and a big worm population in your soil means that your soil is rich in nutrients. So there's also an earthworm test you can do, and I'm reading this from kellogggarden.com, and it says, look for earthworm casts or barrows in the surface of your damp soil. Dig chunks of soil, so 6 inches deep, and then count the worms you find in each chunk. The magic number is 5. So see if you can find at least 3 to 5 earthworms within that chunk of soil that you pull out. And that's another indicator that your soil is rich and good. I'm going to link their blog post down below because I find it really helpful. They have an 8-test system for ways that you can test your own soil to see if it's good, which includes the compaction of it, like how compressed or hard it is, the water filtration, is water reaching the roots, and etc. Like I mentioned, this became how many worms can we find in the soil?
A new place, a new home, for a while, let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back, take my time, just enjoy the ride. A new man passing by, life is good, best I've ever felt. Get me up, somewhere new, somewhere I can find myself. Oh, I feel so alive. As I reach out to the sky. I found my way.
Next step is to use this machine to start tilling and mixing up the soil.
'Cause I found my way. In bad times, I know I'll be okay. 'Cause I found my way. 'Cause I found my way. 'Cause I found my way, my way, my way, my way, my way. 'Cause I found my way, my way, my way.
The benefits of tilling your soil is to mix organic matter into your soil. It helps control the weeds and loosen up small areas so that it's easier to plant plants and flowers. I also read that it is good to till just less than 12 inches into your soil, and you don't have to do it very deep.
'Cause I found my way.
As we're tilling up the soil, we find a nice little creature. Now, snakes don't bother me that much, but maybe because it was such a small snake, but I sure was not going to touch it. I remember whenever we were building our huge sandbox for the kids last year in our last year's landscaping project, somebody had commented, well, what if you get snakes in your sandbox? And I was like, well, we don't get snakes. I've never seen a snake out here. I've maybe seen one garden snake that size a couple of years ago. But now, like, that comment popped into my head. I was like, oh my gosh, what if that snake got in the sandbox? So we'll have to be careful. And in an upcoming video, we will be cleaning out the whole sandbox and the backyard. So make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss any of those upcoming videos. But next we're going to clean up the flower bed a bit, and then I'm going to place the plants where I want them planted, and then we're going to call it a day because we're exhausted. But I do want to tell y'all a quick story. So about 10 years ago, Chris started mowing some of our neighbors' yards, and I remember being kind of mad and upset because the more that he mowed, you know, to get some extra cash, then the more time it took away from me. So I was kind of against it, but he kept growing and growing this business, but he was also working in a corporate job. His corporate job soon became so stressful. He was gone all the time. And I remember right after I had Savannah, which Sailor and Savannah are 20 months apart, he got on working nights. So I was working, going into the office, and I was picking up kids 2 under 2, trying to do all of the things myself. And I was just like, this is not worth it. I need your help. We had talked a lot about him leaving and just continuing on with the landscaping business that he had created, or selling off the business and just completely stopping it. And we had lots of conversations about it. And, you know, there was just never a good time to pursue what he wanted. When we were just about ready to make the decision for him to leave his job, 2020 hit. And you guys know what happened during that time. I was so scared I was going to lose my job. I had to say goodbye to so many of my coworker friends. And while I was on furlough for a couple of weeks, that's when I started my YouTube channel. I really hoped to succeed, but I had no idea what it was going to come down to. But bottom line is, too, I told him you can definitely not quit your job. But with the support of all of you guys and the hard work of starting YouTube, I was actually able to replace his income, where he then was able to quit his corporate job and pursue his landscaping business. I'm so thankful for all of you being here, and I never thought in a million years that that would be possible and he would be able to do what he wants to do and be home with us in some of the most important years of our kids' lives. So I got to thinking, how can I help others have that same freedom? And I created the YouTube Power Kit, which will help you start a YouTube channel. It's completely free. I'm going to leave the link down below. And if it's something you've always wanted to do, don't wait, grab it now. But I do have all the plants placed according to my little sketch drawing that I did. And our next step will be to plant everything until we run into some issues.
So today is day 2, but it ended up like raining all day, all morning. Everything is pretty wet, and since the trees are pretty puny and they kept tipping over, then Chris asked if he could just plant the trees, and then whenever it's less wet outside, we will do the rest of the stuff.
So he's going to get started planting the trees in the wet soil and wet grass. Everything is soaking wet, and it ended up raining for several days after that.
Never up, never down.
See, look at this plant. The side of it. You can't put it like that. There's no back here, so you put this against the wall if you don't see it. And let it grow. So you want to put the front side of it, the good side to the front.
That's common sense. That's not a tip.
Tip, I mean, people don't know. But the bad, if you plant plants against a wall, you put the bad side to the back.
Now it's finally dry enough to plant the rest of the plants. So the way that we did the design is that we have 6 of the tricolor willow trees in the back. In between each of the trees, we have 2 agapanthus, which are those taller trees that have the beautiful flower kind of poking at the end, the ones that he's planting now. I do a white one and then like the blue purple one. And then we have a tricolor willow tree, and then we have 2 agapanthus in the middle. Those are taller plants that are going to be in the back to help give it height and also add a little bit of dimension. The ones that we got were, I believe, the 3-gallon ones. I can't remember, but they are the biggest size you can get. You can get smaller ones as well, which we did get because we went to 2 nurseries total. After we went to the first nursery, we decided we needed a couple more, and they didn't have the big ones, so we got the little ones, which is fine. We'll just wait for them to grow. In front of each of the trees, we planted hydrangeas, which are partial sun, so they don't do very good later on down the road, which you'll see later. We may have to replace those. You guys can give me recommendations. And then we have the boxwoods in between those. But while we are digging up, we find something special.
Mom,
This was confetti we popped for Sailor's gender reveal party when we found out she was a girl, and she's about to be 6 years old.
Who's that?
So it's funny, we did a gender reveal party 6 years ago, and we popped those little things of confetti, and we found those little confetti pieces everywhere. We've been finding them for years. So it's been a while since we found one, but to find one 6 years later is just, I can't believe that it is still there. But anyway, in between the hydrangeas are the medium-sized baby gin boxwoods. We are going to shape them out into a round shape once they kind of grow out. And the very first layer of plants, we kind of worked our way backwards to the front. So in the front of the flower bed, we are going to have the smaller baby gin boxwoods as well as the ferns. So we are going to have lots of green in the flower bed, and then subtle pops of the bluish purple agapanthus as well as the white agapanthus. And then when the tricolor willow trees grow, they're going to have like white tips. And then the hydrangeas are a purplish blue. I think we do have a pink one in there, but all of the colors are subtle. They go together, and we're going to have to see how it works out. Now, the total cost for the plants, like I was floored to discover how much plants actually cost. And Chris is like, yes, Michelle, that's why people are so shocked when I charge what I charge. It's because these plants are so expensive. So the tricolor willow trees I bought the taller ones. They had like 3 to 4 foot and 4 to 5 foot, I believe. And I bought the taller ones. I had a 10% coupon that I used with it, and they were $150 per tree. So we got 6 trees, right? So what is that, like $950 in just the trees? These trees better not die in the winter. I'm going to be so upset and mad. So then the next nursery we went to, we got all the agapanthus or majority of the agapanthus and the ferns and the boxwoods and the hydrangeas. And I think that bill was around $600. And then we went back one more time and had another bill for around $200 to $300. So if I'm being completely transparent, the total amount of plants I'm estimating cost us around $1,800. We then probably spent 10 to 12 hours doing all of the work. So this was over a couple of days, the first day being the longest day. And that was with Chris and me, the newbie employee, where he had to tell me what to do. The new trainee, let's say. So next we have everything planted, and oh my gosh, it looks so good. I can't wait for it to just grow and be full and beautiful, and just pray that they stay alive. Especially the trees, which were the biggest investment. We do have plans to add some landscaping lights later on, and this was back in April when we first planted everything. You can see how pretty these agapanthus are. I do recommend them. Next, we leave, we go on vacation, we forget about everything. No, not really. But about 3 weeks later, the trees are getting a little bit fuller, not much difference. But my main concern is looking out for the hydrangeas, which they seem to be blooming beautifully for the time being. So if you guys have been enjoying this video so far, if you don't mind giving me a quick thumbs up, that way it lets me know that you like these types of videos and that I should be including more project type videos in my channel. But these are really, really pretty plants. Let me know in the comments what your favorite plant is. So here is everything completed, looking beautifully, and let's fast forward to just about a month later. My poor hydrangeas are not surviving well. So we will end up having to replace these, but overall everything else seems to be doing good, thriving, and looking great. Next, we are going to mulch everything and then I will show you the before and after. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for coming along with me on this journey. Hopefully you got some tips, and be sure you're subscribed to my channel so that you don't miss any of our upcoming videos.